Welcome to EntrepreNINES, everyone. I'm John Wist.
And I'm Bonni Mace. We're two Enneagram 9s who took the big leap into the world of entrepreneurship at a similar time. And this podcast is a space where we're inviting you to laugh and learn with us as we work to build businesses with soul. This is episode 7.
Which you did mention, like, a lot of people make it to episode 7.
Apparently. If I remember that stat correctly.
Yeah. But we're going to make it beyond episode 7.
That's right, because we already have an interview lined up.
Boom.
It's going to be great.
Boom.
I'm excited.
Me too. Yeah. I think it's going to be different because it's not a 9.
He's not a he's not a 9.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be our first non-9 interview, which is fun.
That is fun.
But we learned he is a 1.
He is a 1.
So we'll talk about that another time.
That sounds good.
That's a 9 wing, so that'll be even helpful.
I saw you do a little
Did I do that?
Yeah,
That's
you
funny.
kind of did like a little chicken wing.
I did a
move
chicken wing.
when you said wing, but
whale.
That's
embarrassing.
So, but today we thought we would talk a little bit about how we set up / structured our businesses.
Yeah, being very practical.
Yeah, just because I do think, and I don't know what your experience was like when you were like researching how to do it.
Oh, all stress 6.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah,
me too.
Okay.
But it's just like, oh my gosh, there's so many things and there's so many choices.
Like, I'm probably going to go to jail.
Like, somebody's going to find me and they're going to tell me I did it illegally.
Yeah. Like Guantanamo for you.
Oh, gosh.
Told you.
So you might have gone
all stressed.
way further than I did. Okay.
I also have always joked that anytime there's like legal language or taxes, my brain immediately melts. And there's a lot of that involved in setting up your business. So
yeah, and I think it seems much more out of reach than it is.
That's true. Because once I actually did it, I was like,
oh, that was it?
I put this off for so long.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Right.
And I stressed for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny part is, like, once I submitted the paperwork, that's when I got nervous too, that I was like, are they going to approve it? Am I ever going to get it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Anyways, so we thought we'd talk about that.
Yeah. Very practically. But you know, I guess with us, you can't get away without some of the raw reality of hitting submit on the internet.
Oh man.
It's very intimidating.
So just bottom line, we're both LLCs.
Yeah.
Right.
Limited
liability corporation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I second guessed myself again.
It's okay. So we're not too different in that sense, but we went about doing it a little bit differently.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. But John, you're kind of more nerdy in this sense.
Oh, uh-huh.
So there are other ways that you could set up your business. So
Sure.
for our listeners, just real quick.
Yeah.
Tell them.
Okay. So like for our size businesses where like we don't have any employees or anything like that, there were kind of 3 options that I found, right? So sole proprietorship, LLC, which is a single member LLC.
Yes.
Because there is a multi-member LLC.
Yep.
Or an S Corp. And there's benefits and cons to all of them. The reason that, and I actually did talk to an accountant beforehand.
Yeah.
Only because we know one. And so her point was single member LLC is the way to go.
Okay.
For now.
Yep.
Because it's much easier on the financial end during like tax season, because you don't have to submit anything separately from your personal taxes. Like everything just kind of gets lumped together. If you go like S Corp, then technically you've entered another realm, right? There's some tax advantages to S Corp, but it's kind of for bigger companies in a lot of ways. And then
lots of products are probably more in that vein.
Probably. And then also like sole proprietorship, there's less liability coverage for you as an individual.
Yeah.
Like,
so I was actually a sole proprietor when I was Bonni Mace Design.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yep.
Oh, look at you.
Young me. Afraid of taxes and legal things.
Signing documents.
Did
and
like a
submitting
hot,
documents.
like a hot second of research and said, oh, I can just call it a sole proprietor, and went and on irs.gov and got myself an EIN.
Yep.
Looking back, that was probably a really terrible way to go for what I was trying to do and stuff too. Yeah. But I got lucky. I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I think, just LLC just in general seems like a very safe way for small businesses to go to provide themselves some cover.
Yep.
In case of legal challenges.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I did do some research about that. And then I also did research on how to submit to become one. And there are lots of people who will tell you to pay lots of money to have them do it for you. I did have someone do it for me, but I did not pay lots of money to have them do it for me. So I think I used Zen Business was the one I used.
Yeah. I did Northwest Registered Agent. And they've been great.
Yeah.
So far.
And I would say Zen Business has been great too. So, there's all sorts of add-ons and stuff that you can get when you go through that process. But I think like for me, it was like, no, I just want to submit my stuff. I want to have a registered agent because that's a lot of what they offer too is like, you have to have a registered agent in the state. And, and that was pretty much it. I mean, it was, you submit all your information and business name or doing business as whatever it's going to be. And then they also send all of that to the state, and then the state, approves all of it. So,
yeah. So I decided LLC too, because I wanted to, and a big differentiating factor for me this time versus when I was Bonni Mace Design, which was literally just me doing contract graphic design work at that point. So very low likelihood of being like sued in that line of business, honestly. Yeah. And there being like legal action. And I was 22, 23. Yeah. We didn't have kids. Yep. Right. We didn't own a house at that point. Right. So we also had a lot less to lose.
That's so true.
So, it made sense for me then to be sole proprietor. But this time looking at LLC and thinking like, oh my gosh, like if something goes wrong, stress 6 coming in with all the scenarios. Yep. Like I don't want to put my family in a position where like our house is suddenly part of, the litigation or whatever. Yeah. So that was a big influencing factor for LLC. I used Northwest, but then I ended up I LLC'd my actual name, but you did not. So we can maybe talk about.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Yeah. So talk about why you did your name.
Yeah. So I did Bonni Mace LLC because I didn't want to pigeonhole myself as only enneagram. And that's already paid off because I have this draw towards like doing some spiritual formation work and things like that. And newsflash, some Christians are really uncomfortable with the enneagram. Yeah. So being able to have a business that has both is good. So I LLC'd my name. And then I did which in Maryland, it's called a trade name. I registered for a trade name of empathetic enneagram. Yep. And that's who I am to the state. Yeah. Both of those things.
Yeah. And
that was easy.
Yeah, it was easy. Yeah. And I decided to go with Unite Creative as my LLC. And I would say the reason why I did that was because I saw that kind of no matter where my business went, as far as
it's a very big umbrella.
It's a big umbrella. If I were to call myself, a video production company or something like that, then I pigeonhole myself. But as a creative company, I have a broader ability to reach kind of a broader set of things without having to change my name. Yeah. And so I don't know. I kind of liked going ahead and doing that and just saying, I'm going to be in this space. So let's just nail it in this space.
I mean, we both left ourselves room for growth, which is, I think, important when you're starting this idea of starting a business.
Yeah. And I'll give an example. My brother-in-law also owns his own business. Okay. When he started it, he LLC'd as something that he wished he would not LLC'd as.
He kind of pigeonholed himself in that way.
And it wasn't really a pigeonhole in the sense of what he could do with it. It was more of a kind of a catchy, funny name. and it's not one that has stood the test of time.
So it's like getting a tattoo on your 18th birthday?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
And so he has changed his business name, but he's had to keep the LLC and basically change the trade name, doing business as, you know, that kind of a thing, to what he wants it to be now. So it's just something to keep in mind, like, think about the future, you know, make sure you don't either pigeonhole yourself or come up with a name that in like
that you think you're gonna love.
In like 5 years that you're gonna be like, oh, that was dumb. Yeah. Why did I do that?
like tattoo kind of quality.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. I think that was good advice of us.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Hey.
I mean, Air 5 just happened. That was really good. Yeah, so that's why we chose our names.
Yeah.
And using a registered agent. I mean, another thing too is with a registered agent, you kind of keep your, like, we don't work anywhere other than our homes.
Right.
So we kind of keep our home address more private.
Correct.
In that sense too.
Yeah. Free of
solicitation is my understanding.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you have to still submit your place of business, but the registered agent will kind of be like your official mailbox, if you will.
Yeah.
Of like anything that is more kind of like serious in nature and things like that. So, so yeah, I mean, you know, I still get junk for Unite Creative at our house.
Oh, really? I've never.
Yeah, I do.
One vote for Northwest, maybe.
But I don't know if it's through that or I mean, it could be credit cards. It could be stuff like that too, because they get information through that too.
That's true.
So, so yeah, so that's how we've structured kind of like from a business structure, legal standpoint, right? Okay, let's talk a little bit about kind of maybe your approach to kind of what your business looks like now and potential growth. Does that make sense?
Oh, yikes. Yeah.
So like obviously LLC, single member LLC.
Single member, 100%.
Yeah. But like that's a starting point.
Yeah.
And like kind of where do you see that going?
I don't know.
Not necessarily from a legal standpoint.
Not from a legal standpoint?
No. Just from like your business, like.
Oh yeah. Okay. So that's a big reason why I chose my name.
Yeah.
Too, because I don't know if I want to say this out loud.
Okay.
So
secret. Everybody, there's a secret.
I know I'm going to say it because it's important for us nines to say things.
Okay.
No, like I learned about myself through a previous employer that like I'm okay at public speaking.
Yeah.
So there is like potentially growth in that area for me to do some like public speaking. Or, you know, like other people have told me I'm a good writer and I'm starting to own that a little bit better. And so just leaving space for like, okay, you know, Enneagram is a great tool and a great starting point, but it's not the be all end all. Yeah. And it's not like a saving grace even. It's literally just the starting point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So learning it is important, but also I think there's a lot more that I can do. So I don't know, you know, like my LLC just kind of leaves space for whatever the case. And it's already been really beneficial because I mentioned last episode that I did this creating rhythms that make room for spiritual growth course. And
which is great. Everybody should do it.
Thank you. For a while I was trying to like contort that to be Enneagram because I was like, it's too early to abandon your niche. Is that how you say that?
Niche.
However you say it. I don't know how to pronounce words, so I don't know why I'm trying to say anything about speaking. But yeah, like I was trying to contort it into that, and I was finding like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna put it on my personal Bonni Mace website and leave it off of, you know, have my Enneagram stuff point to it instead. And I think that was the right move. Yeah. For that particular class, because even when I went back to like what I had written for it before, I was like, wow, this is much more faith-based than I remembered it being, which is not how I necessarily like 100% market my Enneagram stuff.
Yep.
So it's already paying off in that way. Just like it's leaving some broadness. So that way I can maybe like take my talents in multiple directions. Okay. Your turn to answer the uncomfortable question.
Well, I would say mine is a little bit learning about, I I think, again, like what I'm good at. And we talked about this a little bit in the last episode, but like what I'm good at and what I enjoy. But also just places where there's room for growth that I can achieve kind of a little more easily, because there are types of video production that are just kind of natural for me to be good at. And so like, and I didn't know this until I started the business, which is kind of the weird thing, like training videos or like online courses and stuff like that. Like I've actually kind of enjoyed it. Like it's a place I knew existed, obviously, but it's like it's something that you don't really open up to until
like
you try it.
Doing that in ministry a lot.
No. Like absolutely not. And so like getting the opportunity to do some of those, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go buy a couple domains, you know, because like at some point I don't have the bandwidth for it right now, but I hope to soon, to be like, yeah, let's create like an avenue of this business that's all just training video related. Right. So I think for me, it's been one of those things of like, what are some, I think, because I think I've entered in with the idea that I don't really offer a product. I offer a service.
You're a service, yeah.
Right. But at the same time, there are kind of like some things that I'm starting to notice. It's like, oh, this is a quote unquote product I can offer. It's still a service, but it is.
But you can like bundle it up as a package.
You can say like, boom, here's an online course, right? That kind of a thing. So I think that's where my head has been recently, is just kind of understanding that, kind of like we were talking about with like the umbrella, right?
Yeah.
You know, Unite Creative is the umbrella. What can exist underneath the umbrella?
Yeah. Like you can have story videos and training courses
right. And then like getting my drone certification.
Yeah. Congrats.
Like that. Thank you. That is like a whole nother thing. And it's like, that's kind of very specified and a very niche kind of a thing.
And your SEO probably really needs to say drone a lot for people to find you for that.
Probably. Yeah. And there's nothing right now, right, on my side about it. But how can I leverage that? Like, what am I going to do with that? So, and I got that because I just kind of enjoy it. So,
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel like most people who fly drones are probably not very good at it, in the sense that you're going to get like a video that makes you want to vomit when you watch it, unless you're actually very good at flying a drone.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. Like this is a total tangent. Sorry,
Yay.
Drone tangent. If you look at a lot of the people who own drone services, it seems like a lot of their backgrounds are like flying like RC
Airplanes?
stuff. Or like RC planes or something like that. Like they were hobbyists in that arena already, and they knew how to do it. And so now they've just kind of translated it into business. You don't often see the inverse, which is like you're a videographer first who learns how to fly a drone.
That's cool.
So we'll see. I don't know. Like that's kind of just a pattern I've picked up on, is like, oh, I don't think you're a videographer first.
Yeah.
It's not saying you don't make good videos, but like your expertise is clearly on the drone side.
And I will clarify that I was talking about your average drone hobbyist.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
Like
that
maybe
is
I've
tough.
seen on social media that people have gotten drones, and I've thought as a personal consumer, why?
Yeah.
But you know, do you?
So
yeah.
Drone tangent.
Yeah, drone tangent. Cool. Okay, so here is something I was thinking of when we were talking. What do you feel like when you're starting out is a non-negotiable? Like you have to get this ASAP. Like you got your business LLC.
Yeah.
That's because the government says.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't choose that.
Right.
But the government says.
Yeah.
So for now, like what were the non-negotiable? I mean, obviously you have a butt ton of video equipment because you are a video production company.
I do think it depends on what arena you're in.
Yeah.
Right. But
if you had to generalize.
Yeah. I think generally speaking, I think a business checking account has to come pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And here's why.
I think that's part of LLC, right?
Was it?
I think it is.
You have to have that?
Separate.
I can't remember. I think you might be right. I can't remember if that was something that they required.
research it
No,
and put it in the show notes?
No, actually, you needed to be an LLC first because you needed your IEN to open a business checking account.
EIN.
EIN, whatever.
There
that
we
one. EIN.
We're professionals.
Whatever.
Okay, so I got it wrong.
It's the reverse. You need the LLC first.
You need the LLC.
Yes.
Okay.
But I would say business checking. Here's why. Before I set up my LLC, before I tried to get a business checking account, obviously like things are coming into my personal bank account.
Yeah.
That has caused some issues with keeping things straight. Now having an LLC, having a business checking account, having QuickBooks, it's this messy middle ground of like, I have to connect my personal bank account to my QuickBooks for last year because that's where things were going. Now I can separate it.
Yeah.
Now I can get rid of it and I don't need to see it anymore.
Yeah.
But that makes it difficult. Also, if you have a checking account, I would say checking account first, credit card second. But if you have a checking account, then you can start to actually pay for things that are business related from the business instead of, again, kind of this messy space of personal finances coming into it. Because again, that's caused some issues for me.
Yeah.
When the end of the year rolls around and you have to do taxes.
So you're like, what is this receipt? Where is this from?
Yeah.
That we did a little bit of that. We just did.
Yes.
Our taxes and it went well. I was actually more smooth
That's
with
good.
the LLC stuff than I
Yeah.
made it in my head to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm saying this as a like bystander who watched my husband do it because he loves it so much. It's like a game to him.
Yeah.
He's weird and I love him. Yeah.
He's great. Yeah. But I think having your financial stuff set up is important.
Yeah.
Because it'll smooth things over in the long run. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet.
What's yours?
I think website.
That's good.
Yeah. I think website, and no matter how fancy it is, like I think a lot of people get really like hung up on how fancy is my website. Because you want to be like Googleable.
Yeah.
You want people to be able to find you quickly and off of social media because you never know when you're going to get booted off social media.
Yeah.
And I'm sounding like a conspiracy theorist a little bit, but it's just true. Like there's Instagram fails and shuts down sometimes, like you lose contact with like I remember, I think it was in the fall, Instagram was like down for half a day and people were losing their minds because then people have tied up their entire livelihood on Instagram. Yeah. And so having a website is a good starting point because you're Googleable. You can tell people how to find you. Then if Instagram does go down, then people know how to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Through your website.
Yeah.
I think website is really, and then you can really say what you can expand on what you're trying to say a little bit more about what you're doing and what you're offering in the world. So website and and we have different website providers too.
Yes. Yep.
And so I went with Squarespace because it was familiar. I already had a Squarespace page.
Yeah.
And I'm really comfortable building in there.
Yeah.
It might be the best solution. It might not be.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm kind of learning that maybe for coaching, there is a better solution out there. But I'm not ready to trade yet because it's going to be a big learning curve. Right? Yeah. It's an investment. It's a big learning curve. Yeah. And so right now I'm doing something that I know and that is comfortable for me. And like, I can just go in and be like, okay, I can put a web page up really quick on my site that exists already.
Yep.
So that's why I went with Squarespace.
Yeah. And I did more research on this too, especially with kind of looking at other videographers and trying to figure it out. And I obviously wanted something where I could host video on the site that would play, as a background or even as as an inset or whatever. And
Squarespace doesn't let you do that.
Squarespace does not let you do that.
Nope.
And so as much as I wanted to probably do that because again, like I'm familiar with that, I needed to look elsewhere. And so there's a web builder called Webflow and it is, Squarespace on freaking steroids.
Yeah. I think it's like the middle ground between WordPress and Squarespace from what I've seen of your builder.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. So I went much like you would with Squarespace. I got a template and I built off the template, which is great because you already have some sort of style, some sort of guide to build from.
Yeah.
but it's still a beast. Like
Yeah.
there was a big learning curve
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to do some things on there. And so now I'm more comfortable. I can quickly and easily, I just the other day kind of changed my homepage a little bit. Like there's some things you can do easily. But then again, I also want to add some pages, and it's kind of like, oh gosh, it's going to take a little bit of work.
Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was one other one that I considered, and it might be worth looking into if you don't have a website yet. And it's called Carrd, Carrd.
I've not heard of this one.
So it is basically like a single page website.
Oh yeah, that's great for starting out. Yeah.
And they have a couple different free templates, right? And they have a couple different kind of way, like you can choose one that's more of like a landing page or portfolio, like it depends on what you're looking for. But they're much more simple, drag and drop, super easy to navigate. So if you are looking for something early on, that might be a good way to go.
Yeah. That's good advice. I think those are good. Those are good non-negotiable startings. I have both of those things too. Like a business account and a website.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are. This is how we build our businesses.
Yeah.
The really practical, gritty
practical,
stuff.
Yeah.
Those of you who listen to this because you love John and I hope you learned something and laughed.
That's funny.
But this is for building businesses as well too. So
yeah. I mean, I think, at some point you've got to address the practical side of it,
the plumbing, if you will, from last
if you will, the plumbing, the duck pen.
No.
The foundation of the duck pen.
This is foundational duck pen stuff.
Foundational. It's built on checking accounts and websites.
LLCs. Or,
LLCs.
Yeah, whatever you choose. Yeah, it's good stuff. And it's the gritty, but also really important stuff that helps you get off the ground. So.
And it's easy to get overwhelmed by it. And I would just say, take a step back, remember why you're doing it, breathe, submit what you need to submit for paperwork. And I mean, don't feel like you have to rush to get everything done.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
it takes time.
Yeah. Well, because one thing is like you helped me kind of with web stuff, and you did a lot of proofreading and stuff like that. And it took me a while to get a website up. I think it was almost 2 months after I had become an LLC that I actually put a website up.
Yeah.
And I did it because I needed it up before I was doing like a public event where some of my stuff was being shown. And like, I needed to have it done. Yeah. So people could potentially go there. So.
Okay. Here's my best advice about having a website. Cause I've been building or managing websites for over a decade. Yeah. They're never done.
That's so true.
They're never done. There are a lot of people who are like, I'm almost done with my website. And I'm like, don't say that.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to have to change it again, or it's going to need updating again. Just from the fact that like web trends are always changing and that you're always changing and that your audience needs different things. And so websites are never done. That was one funny thing for our former life, former boss. I remember coming back around to him and saying, hey, we probably need to update our website. And it was like 3 years ago that we had done it. And he's like, didn't we just do this? And I was like, well, that was an eternity ago.
Yeah. Especially
in
online.
Website years.
Yeah.
So it's never done. So don't be discouraged in your website pursuits.
Yeah. Much like businesses are never done.
They're never done. But that's the fun
Constantly
of them.
growing. Yeah. So, well, this was different.
Yeah.
But it was good.
It's great.
I'm glad we did this.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I feel like hopefully somebody...
Share this episode with a friend you know who's starting a business.
Yeah.
And who's freaked out by it, or who's been talking about starting a business a lot. Like if you have a friend who's been talking about starting a business a lot, they're probably afraid.
Yes. Of making the commitment and just taking the jump.
Or of
all
going to prison because you did it wrong.
If they're 9 like Bonni.
If they're like me, they think they're going to be shipped off.
So here's the other thing you can do. If you share this with that friend, or if that's you, right? Go to our Anchor page. Okay. And send us a voicemail. And like ask us all the questions you need to ask us about setting up your business.
Here's the great thing about John and I. If we don't know, we're going to say, wow, we don't know about that.
Great question.
But here's somewhere to go look.
Yeah.
So we're both good at that. We're going to stay in our lane.
Yeah.
well.
That's a good caveat, because
I have a hard time with businesses that present themselves as like, I know all the things all the time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I'm learning it's not feasible.
Hey, because you're a human person.
Yeah, it's not feasible. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, leave us a message. If you need some extra support, extra help, we'd love to help you.
Yeah, or just pep talk. Like
pep talk. Give you some resources that we looked at when we were setting it up. So it was only like 6 months ago for both of us. So
yeah,
we're still noobs.
Happy half birthday, businesses. Congratulations. Okay, well, you can find us on the internet at anchor.fm/EntrepreNINES, like we said, or in the show notes is our websites, so you can see how they're working out in real life.
Yeah.
But also our social medias are linked. And so give us a follow, give us a hello. No, you don't like a podcast. That's not a thing.
You
can like it in your heart.
Yeah, just like us in your heart.
But
subscribe.
Subscribe
And give us a rating or review.
Yeah. Well,
that'd be great.
Thanks for being here, friends.
Thanks for being here.
We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Bye.